Imagine this. It's it's the middle of a brutal summer heat wave, like the absolute peak of the season, and the humidity is just completely suffocating.
Oh, yeah, the worst possible time for anything to go wrong.
Exactly. You are sitting in your living room, and your air conditioner suddenly makes this strange, I don't know, sputtering noise. It shakes violently, and then it just completely dies.
A total nightmare.
Right, and you look around in a sweat, and you realize, oh, great, your house needs a massive deep clean because you are hosting a huge family festival this weekend.
Oh, the timing is always perfect like that.
It always is. And then, just to add the absolute cherry on top of this totally chaotic day, your water purifier in the kitchen starts aggressively beeping some red warning light.
Yeah, that is the ultimate modern homeowner nightmare. It's basically the trifecta of domestic disaster.
It really is. And if you rewind just a few years ago, this exact scenario meant pure, unadulterated chaos for you.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it meant spending your entire morning calling 3 different, totally unverified local handymen.
If they even picked up the phone.
Right. You'd be texting your neighbors, like asking for phone numbers, haggling over prices with someone who might not even show up.
Yeah, and just crossing your fingers that the guy who finally walks through your door actually knows how to fix your specific brand of AC without, breaking it even further.
Exactly. And crucially, you had absolutely zero recourse if that ace stroked down again the very next day.
None at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't exactly leave a 1-star review for the neighborhood offline mechanic, right? You just had to pay him again.
Zero recourse. But today, for millions of households in India, this scenario doesn't actually induce a panic attack anymore.
No, it's completely different now.
It just means reaching into your pocket, opening an app, and tapping a few buttons to summon a verified professional right to your doorstep. So today, you and I are looking at the invisible, highly calibrated machinery behind that exact convenience.
It's a fascinating machine, too.
It really is. We are doing a deep dive into Urban Company. It's a digital home services platform that hasn't just built a cool app, but has fundamentally rewired how an entire domestic labor market actually operates.
And, they are heavily in the spotlight right now because they recently went public in just a spectacular fashion.
Yeah, the numbers are wild.
They are. They hit the capital markets with a massive 1,900 crore rupee IPO, and they're reaching a valuation nearing 15,000 crore rupees.
Which is just huge. So today, we are going to value this company. If you are listening to this, you've likely used an app like this, right? But today, we are going to rip open the hood of the business.
Put on our senior investment analyst hats, basically.
Exactly. We're going to break down their exact business model, the real unit economics behind, say, a haircut or an AC repair, the economic moat they have built to keep competitors out, and their really aggressive growth prospects.
And we're pulling all of this data from their draft red herring prospectus, the DRHP.
Right, which is essentially that massive financial x-ray a company has to publish before they can ask the public for money. Plus, we're looking at recent earnings calls and leadership interviews.
Yeah, what's so fascinating here is that while everyone knows the consumer-facing side of this platform, the app itself.
The easy part. Yeah.
Right. But the back-end financial engineering is what makes this a truly compelling case study for us. We aren't just talking about a software company here.
No, not at all.
We are talking about the sheer logistics of organizing one of the most fragmented, notoriously informal labor markets on the entire planet.
Okay, so let's unpack this from the very beginning. Whenever you look at a company going public, the very first thing you have to ask as an analyst is, well, how big is the playground?
Right. What's the total addressable market, the TAM?
Exactly. What is the actual size of the market they're trying to capture?
Well, the macro numbers are pretty staggering. If you look at the industry reports cited in their DRHP, specifically the Red Sea report, the TAM for home services in India was nearly $59 billion in the 2024 to 2025 fiscal year.
Wait, $59 billion?
Yeah, and that number is projected to reach roughly $97 billion by 2030.
Almost $100 billion. But okay, that TAM represents the entire market, right? That includes every single plumbing job, every single local barbershop haircut, and every daily house cleaner across the entire country, from massive metros to tiny rural villages.
That's exactly right.
An Urban Company isn't realistically targeting all of that.
Precisely. I mean, as an investor, the TAM is a nice vanity metric for a pitch deck, sure. But what you actually care about is the SAM, the serviceable addressable market.
Right, you have to carve out the specific demographic the company can actually practically serve.
Exactly. So Urban Company is currently focusing its efforts on the top 200 Indian cities. and they are specifically targeting middle to high-income households.
What does that mean in terms of income?
We are talking about households with an annual income of over 5 lakh rupees.
Okay, so when we strip away the rural areas and the lower income brackets and just look at that specific mid to high income demographic in those 200 cities, what does the real sandbox actually look like?
It's valued at roughly 1,770 to 1,850 billion rupees, which translates to about $21 billion.
Okay, 21 billion.
Yeah, so their serviceable addressable market represents roughly 35 to 36% of the total market. That $21 billion is the actual pie they are trying to eat.
Got it. And within that $21 billion pie, where are they sitting today? Like, how much of it do they currently own?
Well, they currently have about a 7.8% household penetration in those top 200 cities.
7.8%. Okay.
Yeah, to put some human numbers to it, in fiscal year 2025, there were about 5.5 to 5.6 million households in India that actually used online home services.
Right.
And out of that pool, urban companies served around 4 million of them.
Okay, let's look at those two statistics side by side because I think they tell a really interesting story.
They definitely do.
On one hand, they served 4 million out of the roughly 5.5 million people who book services online. That tells me they have absolute, just crushing dominance in the online space.
Oh, yeah. They practically hold a monopoly on the digital behavior.
But on the other hand, a 7.8% penetration of their overall $21 billion serviceable market is, well, it's tiny.
Exactly. It reveals that the vast majority of their target demographic is still, picking up the phone and calling the offline neighborhood professional.
Which really begs the question, and this is what I always wonder, is Urban Company just an Amazon for plumbers?
That's a common comparison.
Right. Like, are they just a digital matchmaker sitting in the middle, running a classified ads board and taking a 10% cut for introducing a cleaner to a homeowner?
A lot of people think that.
Because if they are just a matchmaking app, that 7.8% penetration might actually be a hard ceiling. Like, if the offline guy is 10% cheaper because there's no app fee, why would the consumer switch?
See, this is the biggest misconception about the company. And it is absolutely crucial to understand if you want to value them properly. They are absolutely not a lead generation board.
Okay, so how does it work then?
They do not operate like a classified ads website where a plumber pays a small fee to get your phone number, and then the platform just steps away the second the phone rings. Urban Company operates what is called a full-stack business model.
Break that down for me. What does full stack actually mean in the physical world of, say, fixing a washing machine?
It means they control the entire architecture of the experience from start to finish. They don't just connect you to a professional.
Right.
First, they source that professional. Then they train that professional in their own physical training centers.
Wait, they have physical training centers?
Yes, actual physical infrastructure. And then they supply the specific consumables, chemicals, and tools that the professional will use in your house. They dictate the exact pricing of the service, too, so there's zero haggling. They provide the technological workflows, meaning the professional has to use the partner app to follow a mandatory step-by-step diagnostic checklist while they're right there in your home.
That's a lot of control.
It is. And most importantly, Urban Company acts as the guarantor of the service.
So they are deeply, intimately involved in the actual physical delivery of the service, not just making the digital introduction.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you have to ask why the overall home services market in India currently has less than 1% online penetration.
Right. Why is it so low?
It's because the market is deeply fragmented, it's unorganized, and it lacks any sort of standardization. If you hire an offline painter, the quality of the paint, the preparation of the wall, the timeline, the pricing, it's all just a massive, stressful unknown.
Yeah, it's a total gamble.
Exactly. So for an investor, seeing that Urban Company has only a 7.8% penetration in their SAM isn't a red flag that they've hit a ceiling. It actually represents a massive, multi-decade runway for growth.
Right, because there's so much left to capture.
Yes. The core thesis of the company is converting that remaining 92.2% of offline, unorganized habits into predictable, standardized online bookings.
But wait, if they are charging a premium for these standardized services, because, training centers and custom apps cost real money, the local neighborhood handyman will inevitably try to undercut them on price.
Of course.
To convince you to stop calling your trusted local electrician that you've used for like 5 years, an app can't just be convenient. It has to be fundamentally, categorically better.
Absolutely.
So how does Urban Company actually defend that premium? How do they stop the offline market from just eating their lunch? Let's talk about their defense.
Well, it all comes down to their economic moat. And that moat is built entirely on standardization and trust. They are the first full-stack online platform in India to bring 5 or more home service categories online at real scale.
And what categories are we talking about?
We are talking about beauty and wellness, appliance repair, cleaning, painting, and general handyman. And to be better than the offline alternative, they invest heavily in standardizing the physical tools.
Give me some tangible examples of that. Like, what are they actually bringing into my house that the offline guy isn't?
Let's look at AC servicing. Traditionally, an offline mechanic comes in with, a bucket of water and a rag, maybe a spray bottle if you're lucky.
Yeah, I've seen that exact guy.
Right. But Urban Company equips their partners with specialized jet pumps and chemical foams to ensure a level of deep cleaning you simply cannot achieve by hand.
Oh, that makes a huge difference.
It does. And for appliance repair, they've actually developed a proprietary hardware diagnostic tool called Copilot.
Wait, they built their own hardware for diagnostics?
Yes. The professional plugs this tool directly into your washing machine, and it integrates directly with the professional's app to diagnose the exact electronic fault.
That's crazy.
It really is. It stops the professional from just guessing and replacing random expensive parts at your expense.
Okay, and what about the beauty and wellness space? Because I know from reading the DRHP that the salon at home category is an absolute juggernaut for them in terms of high function revenue.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
And the beauty category is where their supply chain moat truly shines. See, in the offline beauty market in India, counterfeit products are a massive systemic issue.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You might pay for a premium facial, but the offline salon might be using cheap, fake creams from a refilled premium bottle.
Oh, that's terrible.
It is. But Urban Company completely eradicates this. They supply single-use, sealed, branded sachets for treatments from premium brands like O3 Plus Dove.
Okay, I actually have an analogy for this. Tell me if this works.
Let's hear it.
It's like looking at the evolution of the restaurant industry. Urban Company is not a food delivery app like Uber Eats or Zomato that just drives to a random restaurant, picks up whatever food the chef felt like making, and drops it at your door.
Right.
Urban Company is a massive cloud kitchen. They own the ingredients, they dictate the exact recipe, they oversee the cooking process with cameras or whatever, and they package it in their own branded boxes. They are completely 100% controlling the output.
That is the perfect way to look at it.
Yeah.
And because they act like a cloud kitchen, they can offer something the offline market historically never could.
Which is
Warranties.
right. The DRHP actually notes they offer a pay after satisfaction guarantee.
Exactly.
And depending on the service, they offer warranties that last 10 days, 30 days, 90 days, or even 180 days. Apira Singhbal, the CEO, had a fantastic quote about this in a recent interview. He said that if anything goes wrong with the service, it is our neck to choke.
That phrase, our neck to choke, is honestly revolutionary in the Indian home services market. It shifts the risk entirely from the homeowner to the platform.
Yeah, which builds so much trust.
But to make that promise financially viable, you need absolute control over the supply chain. If you are guaranteeing a repair, you simply cannot let the professional buy cheap, faulty spare parts from a local hardware store.
Okay, so how do they enforce that? I mean, you have thousands of independent gig workers spread across a massive country. Managing a decentralized supply chain for millions of gig workers sounds like an absolute logistical nightmare.
Oh, it's incredibly complex.
So how do they actually crack it?
They cracked it by integrating the supply chain directly into the digital workflow of the app. They basically bypass local distributors entirely and procure original equipment manufacturer OEM products directly.
Okay.
And they manage the distribution through an auto-replenishment system.
How does auto-replenishment actually work on the ground, like for the professional?
Let's say a beautician does 3 premium facials in a day. That beautician has to log those 3 specific facials into the Urban Company partner app to get paid. And because the app knows exactly what services were performed, the back-end system automatically calculates exactly how much inventory, how many single-use sachets of cream the beautician just consumed.
Oh, wow. So it's tracking it in real time.
Exactly. And when their digital inventory drops below a certain threshold, the system automatically triggers an order from the central warehouse, and authentic replacements are shipped directly to the professional's doorstep.
That is brilliant. It acts as a localized quality control mechanism. I saw that over 65.84% of their active professionals use this specific supply chain network.
It's a massive adoption rate.
And by tying the physical inventory directly to the app's digital ledger, you eliminate the counterfeit problem because the professional physically cannot source fake products without the app flagging a huge discrepancy.
Precisely. And from an investment standpoint, it standardizes the unit economics of every single job. Urban Company knows exactly what the chemical cost of a bathroom cleaning is, down to the exact rupee.
Right, which makes their margins predictable.
Exactly. And furthermore, let's look at the beauty category again. Before Urban Company, if a beautician wanted to offer premium services and make real money, they had to rent a physical salon space, buy expensive bulk products, and take on massive capital risk.
They basically had to become a small business owner and deal with commercial real estate, which just crushes their margins.
Exactly. Urban Company eliminated that commercial real estate cost entirely. They created a high-margin at-home experience.
So it's a win-win.
It is. The consumer gets a premium, guaranteed facial in the comfort of their own living room, and the beautician doesn't have to pay a landlord thousands of rupees a month in rent.
Okay, so we have established a beautifully engineered system here. They train the professionals, they give them the best tools like the jet pumps and the co-pilot diagnostic hardware. They supply the authentic products through an automated supply chain, and they introduce them to the consumer.
I know exactly where your mind is going as an analyst.
Yes, because if I am a consumer and this highly trained professional comes to my house and does an absolutely phenomenal job fixing my washing machine,
Right.
my immediate thought is, why do I need the app next time?
Yep, there it is.
Like, as the professionals packing up their tools, why wouldn't I just say, hey, here's my WhatsApp number. Next time I need my house deep cleaned or my appliances fixed, just text me directly. I will pay you in cash, and we both avoid the 15 or 20% fee the app charges.
This raises the most important question of the entire deep dive.
Yeah.
This is the ultimate existential threat to literally any marketplace model.
Right, disintermediation.
Yes. The platform does all the expensive heavy lifting of making the match, training the talent, and providing the tools, and then immediately gets cut out of the recurring revenue stream.
It's a massive risk.
It is such a severe threat that the DRHP explicitly lists off-platform transactions as a primary risk factor to their entire business model.
So how do they stop it? Because we know human nature, especially in India, where finding a jugaad or a workaround is practically a national sport.
Oh, absolutely.
Do they penalize the workers? Do they use the app to track their GPS location to see if they are returning to a customer's house off the books?
No, and that is what makes their strategy so fascinating. Management realized very early on that if you focus purely on prevention, penalties, and surveillance, people will always find a loophole.
Yeah, you can't police everyone.
Right. You will just create a hostile relationship with your workforce. Instead, Urban Company combats disintermediation with pure, unadulterated value. They combat it by offering high earnings that the offline market simply cannot match.
Let's look at the actual earnings data they reported, because when I read this in the prospectus, I was genuinely shocked.
In fiscal year 2025, the average service professional on the Urban Company platform made over 26,000 rupees net per month.
Let me clarify that for you listening. That is net earnings.
Yes.
That means that is the money going into the professional's pocket after Urban Company takes their commission, after the cost of the consumable products is deducted, and after their travel costs.
Correct. And here's the truly staggering part. They made that 26,000 rupees for an average of only about 83 monetized hours of work on the platform per month.
Now, I have to push back here a bit as an analyst.
Go for it.
83 hours a month is roughly 20 hours a week. That is part-time hours. But monetized hours usually just means the exact time they spent physically inside the customer's house cleaning the AC.
That's right.
It doesn't include the time they spend sitting in brutal Mumbai or Bangalore traffic, riding their bike from job A to job B. Are we romanticizing gig work here? Because unpaid travel time is the silent killer of gig economy wages.
That is a very fair critique, and it is a massive issue in food delivery or ride-hailing where you are constantly driving empty.
Exactly.
But Urban Company mitigates this through route density and algorithmic batching. Because appointments are pre-scheduled rather than on demand, the algorithm assigns jobs to minimize travel distance.
Oh, so they aren't ping-ponging across the city.
Right. Even if you factor in the unpaid travel time, the total time commitment is still significantly lower than a standard 48-hour-a-week informal offline job.
And the upper end of the earning spectrum is even more compelling, right?
It really is. The top 20% of professionals on the platform make over 40,000 rupees net per month. The top 10% make roughly 45,000 rupees.
Wow.
When you compare this to the broader macroeconomic landscape in India, urban company professionals earn 30 to 40% more than their offline independent peers who are just hustling for their own leads.
That's a massive premium.
It is. Furthermore, they earn 15 to 20% more than gig workers on other hyperlocal platforms like food delivery or quick commerce, while working 50 to 60% fewer hours.
Okay, so that is the gravity of the platform. If you ask why the professional doesn't just take the side deal on WhatsApp, well, sure, they might make an extra 100 or 200 rupees by avoiding the commission on that one specific job today. But if they bypass the platform, get caught, or simply stop taking jobs and lose their algorithmic standing, they lose the consistent, reliable pipeline of daily leads that allows them to work relatively low hours and net 26,000 rupees.
Exactly.
They go back to spending 60% of their week just trying to hustle and find customers.
Exactly. It is the value-add philosophy. To prevent leakage, you have to make the platform's gravity inescapable for both sides. For the consumer, the value add that keeps them on the app is the 30-day warranty, the reliability, the background checks on the person entering their home, and subscription benefits like the UC Plus membership, which offers discounts.
Right, because if you hire the guy off WhatsApp to save 100 rupees and he accidentally breaks your expensive smart TV while cleaning the AC,
You are entirely on your
you're
own.
cooked. And for the professional, the value add isn't just the lead generation. They have built an entire social safety net around the worker.
They really have.
Urban Company provides free life, accidental, and health insurance to their active partners. They offer access to microloans through a dedicated financing subsidiary, so professionals can buy better equipment or manage personal emergencies.
They also utilize a tiered reward system to gamify retention.
Right, it's almost like a video game ranking. You start at silver, then you can move up to gold, and finally the plus partner tier.
Yes. The better your customer ratings, the fewer jobs you cancel, and the more consistent your schedule, the higher you climb in the tiers.
And what do the tiers actually do?
Higher tiers unlock fundamentally better economics. You get lower commission rates taken by the platform, better visibility on the app, and priority routing for the most lucrative jobs.
Oh, I see.
So the cost of bypassing the platform and taking that WhatsApp deal isn't just a slap on the wrist. It means losing your health insurance, losing your gold status, losing the back-end tech support that auto-orders your supplies, and ultimately losing your steady stream of high-paying clients.
So, if you are an investor reading this DRHP, you have to realize that the partner earnings index they publish isn't just some feel-good PR metric about how well they treat their workers.
Not at all.
It is the single most vital retention and anti-disintermediation metric you can watch. If partner earnings drop, the gravitational pull of the platform weakens, the offline WhatsApp deals will skyrocket, and the moat collapses. But as long as earnings stay high, the moat holds.
Precisely. So to recap where we are in our analysis, we have established they are operating in a massive total addressable market.
Yep.
They have built a strong, full-stack moat based on standardizing the supply chain and owning the customer experience. And they have high worker retention built on industry-leading gig wages.
But, and this is the massive but that hangs over every single venture-backed tech company of the last decade.
Let's hear it.
Does any of this actually translate into bottom-line cold, hard cash profits, or are they just artificially subsidizing this entire beautiful ecosystem by burning through billions of dollars of venture capital money?
A very valid question.
Let's dive into the unit economics and the recent financial turnaround, because this is where the story shifts from a theoretical business model to a real, functioning business.
Right. And for a long time, like many internet startups prioritizing hypergrowth, they were indeed losing money to gain scale. But they have turned a massive corner. According to their filings, they turned fully profitable at a consolidated level in fiscal year 2025.
Let's track the scale of that revenue growth. They grew their net revenue from 437 crore rupees in fiscal year 2022 to 11,144 crore rupees in fiscal year 2025.
That is a massive, almost 3x expansion in just 3 years.
But, as we know, top-line revenue is vanity, bottom-line profit is sanity. The most critical part of that growth is what happened to the incremental revenue.
Exactly.
Out of the roughly 707 crores in incremental revenue they added between FY22 and FY25, roughly 385 crores of that went straight to their adjusted EBITDA.
Okay, let's pause and translate. Adjusted EBITDA and operating leverage for a second. Adjusted EBITDA is essentially a company's cash profit from its core operations, ignoring things like taxes, interest on debt, and non-cash expenses like depreciation or stock-based compensation. And the reason 385 crores out of 707 crores dropping to the bottom line is so impressive is because of operating leverage.
Yeah, how would you explain operating leverage in this context for everyone listening?
Think of it like building a massive toll bridge.
Okay, a toll bridge.
Building the bridge, laying the concrete, setting up the toll booths, hiring the engineers costs an absolute fortune. Those are your fixed costs. If only 10 cars cross the bridge a day, you are losing massive amounts of money.
Right, you're bleeding cash.
But the cost of the bridge stays exactly the same, whether 100 cars cross it or 10,000 cars cross it.
Huh?
Once you collect enough tolls to cover the cost of building the bridge, almost every single extra dollar you collect from the 10,001st car goes straight into your pocket as pure profit.
That is a perfect analogy. So what is the toll bridge for Urban Company?
For a digital platform, the massive fixed costs are the technology infrastructure, the salaries for the software engineers developing the app algorithms, the central corporate headquarters overhead, and the massive national marketing campaigns to build brand trust.
Right. Whether 10,000 people book an AC repair in Delhi today or 100,000 people book it, the cost of writing the code for the app doesn't change. The fixed costs remain flat.
Exactly. So as their volume, what they call net transaction value, or NTV, scaled up and crossed 3,000 crore rupees in FY25, those fixed costs scaled much, much slower than the incoming revenue. The toll bridge was finally paid for, and the cars just kept coming.
And we actually have a real-time update on this from their recent earnings call covering Q2 of fiscal year 2026.
Oh.
The numbers show the flywheel is actually accelerating.
Oh, the Q2 numbers are phenomenal.
Yeah. Net transaction value grew 31% year over year to 1,030 crores for just that single quarter. Revenue from operations was up 37% year over year to 380 crores. And that adjusted EBITDA margin, it reached 11%, generating 42 crores in pure operational cash.
To really understand how healthy this is, we need to deep dive into the unit economics. We need to walk through the unit-level waterfall as they outline it in the DRHP.
Okay, let's do it.
Imagine a single transaction. Let's say a customer books a deep cleaning for 1,000 rupees. That 1,000 rupees is the gross payment.
Walk me through where every piece of that 1,000 rupees goes.
First, you must subtract the GST, the government taxes. Then you subtract the partner payout, the earnings that go directly into the cleaner's pocket.
Okay, so what is left over is the Urban Company take rate, their commission, plus any additional platform fees or subscription revenue from that user.
Correct. But we aren't at profit yet. From that take rate, Urban Company has to subtract their direct variable costs associated with that specific job.
Which includes what?
This includes the fee paid to the payment gateway like Stripe or Razorpay, the cost of the actual physical products consumed during the service like the cleaning chemicals or the wax, and the amortized cost of the background checks or training materials for that worker.
So after you pay the worker, pay the taxes, buy the soap, and pay the credit card fee, what is actually left?
Once you subtract those direct costs, you arrive at the final contribution margin. And right now, their contribution margin is sitting at an incredibly healthy 56% of net revenue.
Just to emphasize this point, a 56% contribution margin for a business that involves physical humans doing physical labor in the real world is phenomenal.
It's unheard of in most offline businesses.
It means for every 100 rupees of net revenue they generate after paying the worker, they keep 56 rupees as pure profit to put towards running their corporate office and technology. The core India consumer business is effectively a cash-generating engine operating at close to a 10% EBITDA margin on an annualized basis.
So, as an analyst valuing this business, once you see a core engine pumping out that much free cash flow, your very next logical question has to be about capital allocation.
Right. What is management doing with the money?
Exactly. Because in the tech world, you don't just sit on cash and pay a dividend. You have to aggressively deploy it to capture that remaining 92% of the TAM we talked about at the beginning.
If the core business is solved, what is the next act?
Let's look at their capital allocation strategy.
Their growth strategy is divided into two distinct pillars: geographic expansion and new category creation. Let's start geographically. They are targeting expansion into 200 cities across India by FY30. Currently, they are operating in roughly 47 Indian cities.
Now, conventional wisdom in the startup world says that when a tech platform expands from highly dense, wealthy metropolitan hubs like Mumbai, Delhi, or Bangalore into Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, their profit margins get absolutely crushed.
That's the usual playbook, yeah.
They usually have to lower their prices to attract a more price-sensitive consumer, and the density of orders is lower, which makes the logistics way less efficient. But management is claiming the exact opposite here. They claim Tier 2 expansion is actually margin accretive, meaning it increases their overall profit margins. How
Yeah.
is that even possible? It comes back to the toll bridge analogy. Expanding to a Tier 2 city like Jaipur or Lucknow leverages the existing technology platform, which requires zero incremental investment. They don't have to build a new app for Jaipur.
Right, the code is already written.
Furthermore, they've spent years and millions of dollars building national brand awareness through television and digital ads. When they launch in a new, smaller city, people already know the name Urban Company. Their user acquisition costs are practically zero compared to when they launched in Delhi a decade ago.
But what about the physical infrastructure, the training centers? We established they are a full-stack physical business. Building a massive training academy in every single small town seems incredibly capital-intensive.
That is where they use a hub-and-spoke model. They don't build a new academy in the small town. They use the existing scaled infrastructure in the nearby large metropolitan hub to train the professionals.
Oh, so they bust them in.
The professionals either travel to the hub for initial training, or Urban Company uses smaller, temporary regional nodes. It drastically lowers the capital expenditure of opening a new geography. They're basically copying and pasting a highly optimized software and logistics model into a new territory with very little upfront cost.
And what about international expansion? Because we have seen Indian tech companies try to go global and just bleed cash, trying to fight local incumbents.
They are intentionally taking a very disciplined approach internationally. They currently operate in the UAE, Singapore, and have a joint venture in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
But their stated focus is on deepening those existing markets rather than randomly planting flags in new countries just to say they are global.
Yeah.
And it is working. Their combined net transaction value in the UAE and Singapore grew an impressive 73% year over year, and the UAE market is actually already EBITDA positive.
Okay, so the geographic playbook is solid. Expand into Tier 2 India cheaply and grow the wealthy Middle East and Singapore markets. But the capital allocation story gets truly fascinating and arguably much riskier when we look at the new product categories they're launching.
Oh, the new categories are wild.
Specifically, two new initiatives, InstaHelp and Native.
Let's start with InstaHelp. This is a new daily housekeeping service that promises an incredible 15-minute response time.
15 minutes. Think about that. If your regular domestic help calls in sick at 8:00 a.m., you tap the app, and someone is physically at your door by 8:45 a.m. to do the sweeping, swabbing, and basic meal prep.
It sounds impossible.
But how do you guarantee a 15-minute SLA service level agreement in a city with notoriously gridlocked traffic like Mumbai or Bangalore?
You can't do it by driving across town. It requires hyperlocal staging and extreme density. They have to cluster professionals within micro-neighborhoods, almost like a localized standby model, anticipating the demand curves of when domestic help typically cancels.
They are targeting a $10 billion TAM just for the specific daily chore category. The pilot started in Mumbai and has already expanded to Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Delhi NCR.
And it's growing fast.
According to management, the demand is so high it is completely outstripping supply. Their only real bottleneck right now is physically training enough professionals fast enough to meet the morning rush.
It makes complete strategic sense. It solves the frequency problem.
Hmm.
You might only need an AC repair twice a year or a deep clean once a year before a festival, but you need your house swept every single day.
Right?
InstaHelp turns a low-frequency utility app into a daily habit app, but as you noted, InstaHelp is still fundamentally a labor service. The really radical, unexpected move from management is Native.
Yes, Native is Urban Company's foray into physical hardware manufacturing. They are no longer just sending a guy to fix your water purifier. They are actually building and selling their own branded reverse osmosis water purifiers, and they are moving into smart electronic door locks.
And here is where I really want to hear your perspective as an analyst.
Frankly, I have to push back hard on this strategy. Hardware is a notorious graveyard for software companies. They are a high-margin service and software logistics platform.
Right? Hardware stuff.
Building physical hardware manufacturing massive water purifiers, holding physical inventory in warehouses, managing global supply chains for microchips, dealing with hardware failure warranties, that requires massive, massive working capital. It is a completely different, lower-margin beast. Isn't this a massive distraction from their highly profitable core? Why on earth build a water purifier?
On the surface, it looks like a textbook distraction.
I agree.
But it begins to make sense when you understand their unique data advantage. It is a brilliant play of vertical integration.
How so?
Think about it. Urban Company has been sending mechanics to service and change filters for third-party water purifiers, brands like Kent or Eureka Forbes, for 8 to 10 years. They have aggregated more granular data on the failure rates of water purifiers than almost anyone else in India.
And we know from consumer reports that people absolutely hate the current state of the water purifier industry.
Exactly. And what do they hate the most? The opaque razor blade business model. Traditional companies sell you the initial purifier machine relatively cheaply, but then they force you to buy expensive proprietary filters every 6 months.
It's just a constant drain on your wallet.
And the consumer never really knows if the filter actually needs changing or if the service technician is just upselling them to hit a quota.
Right, it's a total black box. The light blinks and you have to pay 2,000 rupees.
Urban Company took all that frustration data and spent 2 years in R&D to build the native M2 purifier. They engineered it specifically to solve the consumer's biggest pain point. It requires absolutely no filter changes for 2 solid years.
2 years without a filter change. That completely disrupts the recurring revenue model that the entire industry relies on.
But the real genius is the software integration. The native hardware is connected directly to the Urban Company app via IoT.
Oh, that's clever.
You can open your app at any moment and see the real-time TDS quality of your drinking water and the exact percentage of life left in your filter. It brings total transparency to a historically opaque utility.
Oh, that is incredibly smart. They aren't just selling a machine, they're locking the consumer into their digital ecosystem. Every time you want to check if your drinking water is safe, or every time you want to remotely unlock your smart door for a guest, you have to open the Urban Company app. You stay engaged with their brand constantly.
Yes, the native hardware segment is currently loss-making, which is to be expected with hardware R&D and launch costs, right? It did 16 crore rupees in revenue in FY25, but it is scaling at a breakneck pace, hitting 60 crores in just the first quarter of FY26 alone.
That's a steep curve.
It fundamentally changes the relationship with the homeowner from a transactional service provider to an infrastructural partner.
If we extrapolate this strategy out over the next 10 years, we are witnessing the evolution of a company from a home services platform into an end-to-end home ecosystem.
That's the end game.
Think about the power of that. If they own the hardware, the smart locks on your front doors, the RO purifier supplying the water you drink, and they own the software app on your phone to control it, and D, they control the localized army of trained labor that installs, cleans, and maintains all of it. They effectively own the entire operational infrastructure of the modern urban home.
That is a staggering vision, and it really explains why the valuation is pushing toward 15,000 crore rupees.
So let's synthesize our final investment thesis for you, the learner listening to this deep dive.
The core India consumer business is a highly profitable, high-amount cash cow that is currently benefiting from immense operating leverage. They have paid for the toll bridge, and the cash is flowing.
Yep.
Management is taking that cash and methodically reinvesting it. They're expanding geographically, using a capital-efficient hub-and-spoke model to capture the Tier 2 market, and they're moving into high-frequency, high-TAM adjacent categories like the daily Insta-Help service and native hardware ecosystem.
And what are the risks? Disintermediation. The WhatsApp side deal is always a lurking threat, but their strategy of combating it by providing industry-leading net earnings and a social safety net for their partners appears to be holding the moat intact.
It seems very stable for now.
The hardware play requires close monitoring due to its heavy working capital demands, but the strategic lock-in and data advantage it provides is just undeniable. So the next time you book a haircut on the app or the next time you need someone to fix a leaky pipe, remember, you aren't just buying a simple service.
Not at all.
You are interacting with a massive, highly optimized, data-driven supply chain and a meticulously calibrated labor marketplace.
And that leaves us with a critical macroeconomic thought to mull over as we close. By formally organizing millions of independent, previously informal tradespeople, plumbers, electricians, beauticians, training them, providing them with authentic tools, and effectively tripling their hourly wages while adding health and life insurance. Platforms like Urban Company are doing far more than just building successful venture-backed tech businesses. They are arguably doing the heavy structural lifting of building India's formal middle class.
That is a profound way to frame it. Moving millions of people from the shadow economy into the formalized, taxed, insured economy.
But it raises an incredibly important question about the consolidation of market power. If a single private, venture-backed technology platform becomes the dominant centralized gatekeeper for all blue-collar domestic labor in a country of over 1 billion people, what does that mean for the future of work?
That's a huge question.
When proprietary algorithms dictate the pricing, the training standards, the supply chain, and ultimately the access to the consumer market, who truly holds the power? The worker, the consumer, or the platform?
That is a question of market dynamics we will have to watch very closely as they continue to scale into this $97 billion market. But one thing is for absolutely certain. The next time your air conditioner makes that terrifying sputtering noise in the middle of a heat wave and your house is a mess and your water purifier is beeping, the solution arriving at your door is a lot more complex, a lot more engineered, and a lot more fascinating than just tapping a button on an app.
Indeed it is.
We will see you next time on The Deep Dive.